The US Federal Reserve is one step away from getting a new chairman who is far more crypto-friendly than the current leader, Jerome Powell. Hyperliquid achieved something historic, large XRP investors are increasing in number, and a certain DeFi application has officially announced that it is shutting down. Stay with us until the end of the episode so we can tell you about the rising crypto scams connected to the upcoming FIFA World Cup. I'm Dimitar, you're watching CryptoPotato, and if you like what we do, hit the like button and leave a comment. You can also download our mobile app. We're expecting your feedback to tell us if you're satisfied. The link is in the description. Our first news comes from the US, where the Federal Reserve is about to get a new chairman. On Tuesday, the Senate confirmed Kevin Warsh as a member of the Fed's Board of Governors after 51 supportive votes out of a total of 96. He is considered significantly more open to the crypto industry compared to the current chairman, Jerome Powell. Years ago, he spoke about Bitcoin and blockchain as potentially important financial innovations, provided they are placed within a reasonable regulatory framework. Warsh is not part of the crypto maximalist camp, but he is critical of the overly repressive approach and believes the US should provide clearer rules instead of governing the sector through fear and uncertainty. Powell, on the other hand, has repeatedly emphasized the risks: stablecoins, crypto lenders, lack of consumer protection, and has often sounded more cautious than encouraging. Despite his pro-crypto stance, Warsh's task will not be easy. Recent data show that inflation in the US has risen again, reaching 3.8%, its highest level since May 2023, which automatically cools expectations for a fast and aggressive rate-cutting cycle. Markets were hoping for a softer approach from the Fed, but the new inflation spike puts the central bank in a trap. If it cuts rates too early, it risks reigniting inflation. If it keeps them high for too long, it chokes growth. This is where the crypto connection comes in. Cryptocurrencies are highly sensitive to interest rate policy. Lower rates mean more liquidity and greater appetite for risk assets like Bitcoin. That's why the latest inflation report triggered a negative reaction in Bitcoin's price, as investors began pricing in a slower rate cut cycle. At the same time, having a pro-crypto figure like Warsh inside the Fed could shift the tone of the regulatory debate and give the industry something it has lacked for years: predictability. Our second news is historic for a relatively young crypto project, Hyperliquid. The first spot HYPE ETF has launched in the US, meaning a publicly traded fund that tracks the price of the HYPE token directly, not futures or derivatives. This is a huge step for the project because it opens the door to an entirely new type of investors. People and institutions who don't touch crypto directly but are perfectly fine buying an ETF through their brokerage accounts. The fund's first day was described as very solid. We saw a respectable trading volume of nearly $2 million and steady interest from the start, showing that HYPE is no longer just a niche token but an asset on the radar of the broader market. This matters for two reasons. First, it adds additional legitimacy to Hyperliquid as a platform and ecosystem. And second, it creates a new channel for capital that can support HYPE's price in the long term. When there is an easy, regulated way to gain exposure to a token, the barrier to entry drops and the number of potential buyers increases. Interestingly, despite this strong fundamental catalyst, HYPE is down about 9% over the past week. This suggests that the ETF news was largely priced in beforehand. The market often buys the rumor and sells the fact. And second, the overall tone of the crypto market due to higher inflation and uncertainty around interest rates weighs heavily on assets with positive news. So the ETF is a strong long-term positive, but not a magic button for an instant pump. It's important to put this in context. In recent years, the US approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, which unleashed billions of dollars in institutional interest, and later spot Ethereum ETFs, which further normalized the idea that crypto can exist within traditional markets. We move on to XRP, where the number of wallets holding at least 10,000 coins has reached a new all-time high, over 332,000 addresses. This is an extremely important indicator because this group of investors represent the backbone of the network. They are not small traders, but they are not big whales either. These are people who typically accumulate gradually and hold for the long term. The growth of these addresses shows that interest in XRP continues to strengthen despite short-term price fluctuations. When the number of medium and large wallets increases, it usually means accumulation rather than selling. This type of behavior often precedes more significant moves in the future because it shows confidence in the project and expectations for upcoming developments. This increase comes at a time when Ripple has multiple factors keeping investors' attention, expanding partnerships, new XRP ledger integrations, and ongoing ecosystem development. More and more users and companies are adopting the network for cross-border payments, tokenization, and other financial services, further boosting interest in the token. We continue with some less pleasant news. The popular mobile DeFi application Legend has officially announced that it is shutting down after nearly 2 years of operation. The team stated that it is stopping new user registrations and setting a deadline of July 12 for all current users to withdraw their funds from the platform. After that date, the application will be fully deactivated. According to co-founder Jason Hobby, the reason for the shutdown is not related to hacks, lack of liquidity or regulatory pressure, but something much more mundane. The product did not reach the necessary scale to be sustainable long-term. He emphasized that Legend had an active community and a stable user base, but it wasn't enough to compete with the major players in the DeFi space. The shutdown fits into a broader trend in 2026, where over 20 DeFi, NFT and GameFi projects have already announced their end, among them Zero Land, Step Finance and Balancer Labs. This shows that the market is becoming increasingly competitive and only projects with clear value and a sustainable business model survive. And we finish with a topic that affects not only the crypto community but millions of football fans worldwide. A new report shows that scams involving tickets for the 2026 FIFA World Cup are rising sharply, with criminals increasingly using cryptocurrencies as a payment method to make transactions harder to trace. Scammers create fake websites that look almost identical to official FIFA pages or partner platforms. They offer exclusive tickets, VIP packages or seats that are supposedly sold out everywhere else. Once the victim pays, often in Bitcoin, USDT or another cryptocurrency, communication stops and the tickets never arrive. Experts say this is one of the largest scam campaigns linked to a sporting event in recent years. The reason is simple: the World Cup is massively watched, demand is huge, and many fans are willing to pay more just to secure a spot. This makes people more vulnerable to fake offers. Security agencies warn that the number of fake sites is growing every week, and scammers are becoming increasingly skilled at copying designs, logos, and even confirmation systems. The advice to fans is clear: tickets should only be purchased from official sources, never through links sent via email, social media, or unknown chats. That's all for today, friends. Have a successful day and see you tomorrow.